So this summer, I had the opportunity to teach at a summer camp, to be a group leader at a Student Fusion camp. And the outlook for the summer was mission, living on mission. And we looked at the life of Paul and how Paul lived his life. So I opened up how I usually open up anytime I teach to a new group of people, is I tell my testimony, or a brief example of my testimony that leads into whatever lesson we're going into. And so living on mission is an easy one. See, I had this kind of lukewarm faith growing up. I had this amazing opportunity to follow God and go on mission trips. The summer, I had the spiritual high like none other. But by winter time, Christ was far from my mind. And while I lived this life for years, I never was convicted to follow God completely until 2014, where I read a book called Not a Fan. This book opened my eyes. God gave me a wake-up call, slapped me across the face. However you want to picture God getting my attention. And he goes, Danny. And he goes, Daniel, you can't just pretend to live a Christian life. That's not what it means to follow God. To follow God means you're letting God work through your complete life, being all that He is in all of you, and all of you into all of Him. That's what it is to be a Christian, is to be fully eclipsed by Christ. You see, my pride was in the way for some time, that I was choosing to go to the path that I wanted to walk, that I thought was good for me. But God was like, no, that's not the path I want you to go down. Here's a path so much better. Follow me. Just like what he said to the disciples, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. If you follow God, you'll be living on mission for God. And we live on mission. We live on the hope that Jesus has brought to us. So I told this testimony, and then I went into when we first see Paul in the Bible when Stephen gets stoned and resurrected from the dead. Then I went into our series where Stephen gets stoned and Paul hold their coats. And I told a story about how bad Paul was back then, before he was Paul and he was Saul. But later that day, I was eating dinner in the cafeteria, and I was chewing on some what I think to be Salisbury steak, and I was enjoying my dinner, and then all of a sudden I hear Daniel. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I hear my name being shouted by little girl voices, and these two girls come up to me, and they're students of mine, girls that were in my class, and goes, remember what you told us in the Bible study? And I say a lot of things in Bible study. I'm like, yeah, what did I say? And they go, how you had to either choose the path that you want to go down or choose the path that God wants you to go down. I'm like, yeah, we're going to paint that. I'm like, okay, kind of confused about where they're coming from, right? And he goes, we're in this creative painting track, which a track is kind of this like other thing you do at camp. And we're in this creative painting track, and we're painting this awesome thing. So I look at it and I get some footage, and this is the footage that you're seeing right now. This footage, or what these girls has gotten inspired about what I said. And you see, I'm not proud of the way I lived when I was in high school. I'm not proud of that. I wasn't living for God. I'm so much prouder of the days I'm living now, because there's so much for God, and I desire to follow God. Back then, I desired to follow man. But God, He redeemed my past. He redeemed my wicked ways, my wicked thoughts, and He made them into glorify Him. And it is amazing how when you choose the path of God, God can take everything you chosen before and redeem it to a greater stance. If you just choose to follow God. God sent his son to die on the cross, to be raised on the third day, and he is no longer in the grave. He is no longer bound by death, which means we are no longer bound by death as Christians. So quite literally, the ball's in our court. You can either follow the will of God and be renewed and sanctified in everything that has happened before and everything's going to happen in the future. You're going to be resurrected from the dead. Or you're going to choose the path of man, choose the path of yourself, and it's all going to be wasted. Because everything on this earth is temporary. But Christ, but God, but the relationship that you could possibly have with Christ will last forever, for eternity. The ball's in your court. What path are you going to choose? That's just my penny.